A couple reached out to me a few months ago from out of state. They were looking at retiring somewhere in the Pacific Northwest, somewhere quieter than where they are now, good medical access, good waterfront access, and a home they could actually afford without burning through their equity in 3 years. They had looked at a few places in Western Washington, but kept running into the same issues. Either the lifestyle matched, but the house or the price of the house was out of reach, or the prices worked, but then the community felt like it wasn't their vibe. Hi, I'm Cassandra Lopez. I've been living and working here for the past 26 years, and I help retirees move to Bremerton and Kitsap County every single year. What I told this couple is the same thing I'm going to tell you in this video. There are 7 areas that we're going to talk about in this video that I would genuinely recommend to a retiring home buyer at all different price levels. And one of them I think might surprise you. I'm in this video from the most budget-friendly to the most aspirational, the entry-level option that most buyers write off before even looking, the community with the strongest senior infrastructure in the county, and the #1 pick that most retirees don't even put on their radar until someone who actually lives there tells them to. Before we get into the neighborhoods, let me tell you that Kitsap County is one of the most underrated places to retire in the Pacific Northwest. And it all starts with something that people moving here from California or Oregon don't expect. Washington State has no personal income tax like Oregon does and like California does. There's a caveat to that, right? So they just passed a state bill that's going to implement what we're calling millionaire tax. So basically, if you're adjusted gross is $1 million or more, you will be charged a state income tax, but for most people, it's not going to be effective. And it doesn't kick in until 2029. But for most people, that means your Social Security checks, your pension, your IRA distributions, your 401k withdrawals, none of that gets touched at the state level. If you're currently living in California or Oregon or any other state that has a state income tax, moving to Washington is an immediate financial upgrade. And it's not just income taxes. Washington State has a property tax exemption specifically for seniors as well. If you are 61 and older and you own your home as your primary residence and your household income is $65,000 or less per year, you may qualify for a tiered property tax exemption. And at the highest benefit tier, the assessed value of your home may be frozen indefinitely. That's a real number that's going to affect your monthly costs and your quality of living. On top of that, Kitsap County has a designated area agency on aging called Kitsap County Aging and Long-Term Care Program. It provides no-cost services for adults 60 and older, including in-home care management, memory screening, fall prevention programs, Meals on Wheels, and help navigating the state's assistance application programs. There are also over 50 senior living communities across Kitsap County, ranging from independent living all the way up to memory care. The median home price for Kitsap County across all homes and all locations is high fives around $600,000, compared to King County and Seattle areas. Those are breaching almost $1 million. Same Pacific Northwest, same ferries, same lifestyle, same mountain and water views, about 35 to 40% less on the purchase price. Now, the area that I'm saving for #1 on this list is definitely not the cheapest on the list, but it is one where a significant price correction has just happened. And equity-rich retirees have a window right now that I don't know that will stay open for much longer. I will tell you exactly where that is when we get there. Let's start with the most budget-friendly option on the list. Area number 7 is West Bremerton. It is the most budget-friendly option on our list today, and I want to be direct with you with what you actually get when you move here, because it is not the same thing as settling. I'm currently on the Bremerton Boardwalk. I'm down at the marina. You can see all the condos behind me, but this is occupied by a lot of retirees. They love this area. They love the walkability. A lot of these condos have fabulous amenities like a theater, a gym, a pool. So there's lots of active senior activities going on here. Plus, it's walking distance to the marina. So if you have a boat, you just moor your boat right here. It's walking distance to the ferry and all the downtown activities that West Bremerton and downtown Bremerton specifically have to offer. With the exception of a few stairs, the terrain is generally flat. So you can come down here and walk this daily or jog if you're still into jogging. You're still relatively close to medical centers, and then up into Silverdale would be the main hospital, but you're still relatively close to all the medical care. Across all of Bremerton, there are 31 senior living facilities, if one of these condos doesn't suit you, including the Bay Point Retirement Community on Oyster Bay, which offers independent living in a waterfront neighborhood about 2 miles from this downtown here and local shops. Now, let me be honest about the trade-offs, because this is where I need to give you the same guidance that I gave my client sitting across the table from me. And specifically, downtown Bremerton is a city in active transition. What that means is that the nuances of the lifestyles block to block can really matter. And I'm not talking about these condos behind me, but when you get over into the single family home neighborhoods, those have a lot of nuance that requires knowledge of a local agent and a local resident. Some blocks are genuinely fantastic. Others are showing signs of some challenges that come with urban living. Homelessness is a real issue in some parts of downtown Bremerton. In some places outside this core downtown where everything is highly walkable and public transit is a really good option, there are some areas that public transit is not a really good option. But the good news is that these senior retirement communities often have shuttles for the residents, so you still will have access to get to and from places if you need to. My insider tip for this area: if you want walkability and an area of the neighborhood that has truly turned the corner, but you're not a super fan of condo living, go across the Minette Bridge and check out Minette. Minette has a walkable arts district, fabulous waterfront and public gazebo, and a distinct, quieter character. It is one of the areas in Bremerton where I would point retirees to first. Now, if you're looking for something a little bit different, an area that moves faster for a reason, we are now in area number 6, which is Central Kitsap. So I'm currently at the public boat launch in the neighborhood of Tracyton. Behind me is Dyes Inlet. The land on the other side is Chico, part of West Bremerton. I'm sure you've heard me talk about the Chico waterfront in other videos. That is it. So this area where I'm standing is western facing, so you get lots of great sunsets. But Central Kitsap is where a lot of retirees are actively settling right now. What Central Kitsap gives you is a lot of this beautiful coastal waterfront. So up and down the coast right this way, you see lots of great properties on the shoreline. And a lot of these neighborhoods have their own private neighborhood launches. So if you have paddle boards or if you have kayaks, so there's lots of good activities in terms of that. But if you're just looking for a nice, serene, peaceful, like sunset style beachfront living, this is going to provide that for you. Like 5 minutes up the road is St. Michael Medical Center. So it's super duper close to all your medical. And we'll talk about St. Michael in depth more in a different segment. But the short version is that it is the most significant state-of-the-art medical facility in all of Kitsap County. And for retirees, this kind of location and infrastructure very, very close is not a minor detail. There are 20 senior living communities in Central Kitsap. Aging and long-term care program is headquartered here in Central Kitsap, which provides services all across the county, but located here, you have proximal access to their resources. So a couple things to note about Central Kitsap: it is more than just Tracyton. So it's really, really big geographically. I'm just in one little corner of it. Central Kitsap is really, really large, and it's unincorporated Kitsap County, which means it's not within any city limits. While Highway 3 and 303 are really proximal and easy to access, this isn't very walkable like downtown Bremerton would be. It's not going to be like an urban setting. This is very much more suburban. If your priority is good quality healthcare, waterfront lifestyle living, and lots of services nearby, Central Kitsap is going to give you more bang for your buck for all of those things than maybe anywhere else on this list. Now, here's where things get interesting. So the next area, if healthcare is at the very top of your important must-do to-do list, there's really only one answer in Kitsap County, and that is the area of Silverdale. As I mentioned in the previous segment, St. Michael Medical Center is a recently renovated state-of-the-art medical facility in Silverdale, Washington, ranked number 13 in all of Washington state for medical facilities. $645 million renovation, level 3 trauma center, 24-hour emergency department, has an on-site cath lab, which means if you have a cardiac event, the imaging and intervention capabilities are on site. You don't have to travel down to Tacoma to go to Tacoma General or over to Seattle to Harborview or Swedish. and has a designated primary stroke center certification from the Joint Commission. Virginia Mason Franciscan Health, which operates St. Michael, covers patients from Kitsap, North Mason, Clallam County, Jefferson County. So this isn't a small hospital by any means. It's the peninsula's main medical hub. So as I mentioned, there's 20 senior living communities in central Kitsap. You can see one right across the water from me. That is Christus Shores. Christus Shores is a fabulous waterfront independent living community. Median price point in Silverdale is mid to high fives. And remember that Silverdale is part of central Kitsap, which is unincorporated Kitsap County. There is no Silverdale Police Department, if you will. It is pretty car dependent unless you're living maybe at Christus Shores and you can walk a few places, but most places in Silverdale are going to be pretty car dependent. So just keep that in mind. But if your primary question is where do I want to be if something goes medically wrong, Silverdale is your answer. All this said, every retiree is different, and when you're relocating from out of state, maybe your set of requirements is going to be quite different from that of a local buyer. So if you want to understand which neighborhood in Bremerton or Kitsap County might be the best fit for you, go ahead and take my free neighborhood quiz. It's in the link in the description below. It'll match you with your goals and your preferences to which neighborhoods might work best. And now on to our next area. For those who want to step it up, this next area might be the most underrated retirement community in the entire Pacific Northwest. And that is area number 4, Poulsbo, Washington. Poulsbo sits on Liberty Bay in North Kitsap County and has something genuinely rare, which is a downtown walkable on the waterfront. Median price point for Poulsbo is going to be like high sixes. That includes anywhere from $400,000 entry-level homes up to $2 million retirement homes. You may or may not have time to kind of think and look as you're shopping in this area. Some neighborhoods are super, super hot. Some are not. Downtown is described in multiple senior resource databases as a vibrant, walkable hub. And unlike a lot of other places, those words aren't just marketing language. They actually live that lifestyle. Seniors aged 65 and up make up more than 20% of the population here in Poulsbo. So there's already a significant retirement demographic built into this neighborhood. The Viking heritage character of this town, Little Norway, the annual Viking Fest, the lighted boat parade, and the Sea Discovery Center on the bay. For healthcare, Peninsula Cancer Center is located right here in Poulsbo, and then St. Michael Medical Center from the previous segment is about 15 minutes down the road. For senior living, if you're looking for a more independent community style, it's probably going to price you a little bit higher than other independent living communities in other parts of the county, specifically Silverdale and Bremerton. A couple of trade-offs, because there's always trade-offs. It does not have direct ferry access. You need to drive down to Bainbridge to catch the Bainbridge ferry, or up to Kingston to catch the Kingston Edmonds ferry, or you could drive all the way down to Bremerton. During summer months, the downtown gets super busy with touristy foot traffic. There's lots of stuff going on. In fact, today there's a little concert at the Waterfront Park downtown, and it is loaded with tourists. Some residents love it, some find it frustrating. It can definitely impact traffic and wait times and that sort of thing. And outside that core downtown area, it can be pretty car dependent for daily errands like shopping and that sort of thing. Just an insider tip, Poulsbo's crime rate is just slightly below the national average according to third-party data sites. And this context matters. People are looking for this, especially when you are searching for a retirement community and likely your forever home. If your idea of retirement includes coastal living, boating activities, peace and quiet, and enough room to actually enjoy the Pacific Northwest, Hansville deserves a serious look. Hansville is the northernmost tip of Kitsap County. The neighborhood behind me is Driftwood Key. It sits on the western side of that peninsula and has phenomenal western-facing views of the Hood Canal Bridge and the Olympic Mountains. And most homes in this neighborhood have some sort of view. Hansville is quiet on purpose. It's very far removed from the hustle and bustle of the rest of the county. The closest grocery is like 15 minutes away. The closest restaurant is probably the Point No Point Casino, which is 15 minutes away. So it is definitely intended to be for the person who loves that peace and quiet. If you're exploring the neighborhood of Driftwood Key, this has a lot of really desirable amenities. that all the residents can take advantage of. So obviously there's a clubhouse, there's a marina right behind me and a boat launch. There's a seasonal pool. Home purchase price points in Hansville are anywhere from like mid 5s to high 9s. There's a few peppered around that are in the millions range. Those are going to be your coastal waterfront, full Western exposure properties. So definitely not first time homebuyer range, but ideally in your retirement age, this would probably be a comfortable price range for you with the equity and stuff you're bringing into it. What makes Hansville stand out? There's no nightlife, there's no shopping, there's no bars or anything like that. It's definitely a lifestyle commitment. So you're out here on the peninsula, you are really close to like Point No Point, which is this beautiful lighthouse and beautiful state park. You're next to Buck Lake. You're super close to the Hood Canal Bridge, which takes you to the Olympic Peninsula. So if you wanted to take a day trip to Port Ludlow, Port Townsend, it's right there for you. Ferry access is on the other side. So you would be driving in the easterly direction towards Kingston to catch the Kingston-Edmonds ferry, or down to Bainbridge to catch the Bainbridge-Seattle ferry. Those are your two closest ferry access points. Hansville is where retirees come to breathe, to stretch in nature, forested roads, walking beaches, and then access to all of those great outdoorsy things. If you are doing a shopping trip, you're probably heading into Silverdale, which is about 30 minutes away. So Silverdale is going to have your Costco and Target and Best Buy and all the big box stores. Access to medical is also a little bit ways away, but you're about 30 minutes from St. Michael Medical Center, which is in Silverdale, and that is the only hospital to speak of on the peninsula. So if peaceful coastal living is high on your agenda for retirement, then Hansville is probably a great place to consider and should be toward the top of your list. My personal favorite has got to be area number 2, and that is Kingston. And I apologize for all the wind and the hair blown everywhere. I'm on a little bluff overlooking the ferry terminal. It's right behind me down here. And this is just a lot of Kingston. There's a lot of bluffs, and we're right on the Puget Sound. So a lot of open water, and it's windy. Kingston is an area that most out-of-town retirees may not even put on their list because they haven't heard of it. So somebody's got to tell you, and it might as well be me. Median price point here in Kingston is going to be high 7s, maybe almost to 8s. There is a ton of 7-figure waterfront or water view property here in Kingston. It's kind of Kitsap County's one of best kept secrets. It's a slower moving market, so statistics may be a little skewed. I think if you're retiring here, this is probably going to be your forever home, so maybe appreciation isn't going to be your biggest concern. What's genuinely compelling is the town itself. Kingston has direct ferry access to Edmonds. Edmonds is a little waterfront town just north of Seattle on the other side of Puget Sound. So you can have city access and drive into Seattle, not have to drive like down to Bremerton or Bainbridge to get there. You can ferry over to Edmonds, spend the day in Edmonds, or drive down to Seattle proper and spend the day there. The character and charm of downtown Kingston is hard to quantify, but it is very real and it's very awesome. A Kingston resident on niche.com put it this way: "We just retired here. Best decision we ever made. So peaceful, no traffic. Love exploring the nature that's all around us. Our neighbors are wonderful people, a real hidden gem." This sentiment is consistently how people describe Kingston. Another cool thing about Kingston is that it's pretty self-sustaining. It's out here on the northeast corner of Kitsap County, right on the Puget Sound. The breeze is cooler than it is on Hood Canal because it's open water. There's grocery, there's medical, it's got its own little downtown, it's got its own ferry. So it's very self-sustaining, super low flood risk, super low fire risk. Medical is still, if you want to go to St. Michael Medical Center, it's still 30-ish minutes away down in Silverdale. Kingston does have its own set of doctor's offices. If being out here is a little too remote, maybe it's not the place for you. If the Pacific Northwest small town lifestyle is the thing that's pulling you toward this part of the country, then Kingston will not disappoint and should definitely be considered. Now, I appreciate that this video is all about the best places in Kitsap County to retire. But if you're considering relocating and retiring here in the next few months to a year, and you would like a bit of guidance from somebody who's been living and working here for the past 26 years, drop me a text or give me a call, shoot me an email. We'll set up a strategy session with your preferences and location and budget in mind and come up with the best solution that works for you. And now on to our final area. Now, this might surprise you because when most people hear number one pick, they may think it's like the most affordable place to live. But what I'm about to show you technically is as high priced as it gets in Kitsap County. And that is none other than Bainbridge Island. Bainbridge Island's median sales price is north of $1 million. And that's down significantly year over year. However, these higher priced markets tend to have the larger swings. There's more room for adjustment, but it still maintains to be the county's most affluent community. While we're in the middle of that pricing adjustment, if you are a retiree who's got, some room with your budget, there might be a really short window of opportunity to take advantage of that and get into something for a really decent price here on Bainbridge. Who is Bainbridge Island actually for? Retirees who are selling property in King County, which is like Seattle, Bellevue areas, Medina or Mercer Island, or maybe you're coming from California or New York, both really expensive states, and you have high six figures in equity to reinvest into your new home. For those particular buyers, Bainbridge Island is not as much of a stretch as it was even just a few years ago. And here is what you're buying. Bainbridge Island has 20 senior living communities, including Bainbridge Senior Living, which operates 4 distinct communities on the island. Winslow Manor is located right here in the heart of downtown Winslow, which is where I am now. Winslow is where the Bainbridge Ferry is, the Bainbridge Island Seattle Ferry. Also the main downtown hub on Bainbridge Island. And it's super walkable to all of these, you can see behind me, all these townhouse style and condos. There's plenty of these types of communities surrounding Winslow so that you can have that walkable lifestyle that you want if you don't want to be as car dependent. Winslow is home to lots of artisan shops, the farmers market, performing arts center, tons of restaurants, galleries, and the Bainbridge Island Senior Center. The downtown itself is architecturally charming and fully functional for daily living and walkability. So the ferry to Seattle takes about 35 minutes. And for retirees who want occasional city day trips or access medical specialty over in Seattle, this is a great option and easily accessible location for you. So a couple of trade-offs when you're buying into Bainbridge Island. Property taxes are high, especially when you get into these waterfront properties. You could be in excess of $15,000 a year. So if you're on a fixed income, that is going to hit your wallet pretty hard. The property tax exemption with max income of $65,000 can qualify you for that property tax exemption. Some other lifestyle considerations: there's 2 ways on and off the island. There is the ferry that we spoke of. There's also the Aga Pass Bridge, which takes you to Suquamish and Poulsbo. So keeping that in mind, you want to be mindful of ferry traffic and peak hour traffic. You want to make sure you're avoiding Highway 305 during those times. If you want to access St. Michael, you're again about 25-30 minutes from there. Depending on where you are on the island, if you're at the very, very southern tip of the island, you could be farther. Since there is so much waterfront property on Bainbridge Island, it'd be worth a look into flood risk. It is relatively low considering it's on the Puget Sound, but it's definitely worth looking into. My insider tip: the current window is real, but it will not stay open indefinitely, and who knows how long it will last. The spring 2026 market was up 9% from last year. If that momentum reaches Bainbridge Island's upper tier, which historically kind of lags that middle bread and butter market, the correction will start to close. If Bainbridge Island has been on your list, this is the time to look seriously and not casually. I'll tell you the truth about what it's like to live here so you can buy with confidence. Reach out anytime, call or text. I will help you figure out the best location and lifestyle for you. But knowing which area fits your budget is only part of the decision, because even with the best neighborhoods on the list, there are specific streets and property types, property considerations like setbacks, flood zones, septic systems, HOAs that will cost you if you don't know about them before you buy. So if you want to go a little deeper, watch this next video where I break down exactly what to look for and what to avoid when you're buying a house in Bremerton in Kitsap County.